Welcome to episode 28 of the 15-Minute Coffee Podcast with Brandon Salazar, your go-to destination for extra perspectives and valuable insights from the world of business. Today I'm here with Rian Corcino, two-time software engineering intern at Microsoft. All right, let's start with the questions. Tell me about your early life and career and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on the podcast, Brendan. Really appreciate it. So, in my early life, I want to say the thing that got me into CS, I actually got into it as an accident. Most people don't know that. But I was in high school and I had like five classes and I need to get an elective. So I chose computer science, even though I had no idea what it was. Eventually I took, one or two classes in high school, ended up really liking it and decided to major in it. And then that's also like when I went into my first year of community college because I decided to transfer there. That's also how I got into my first internship because I had a friend who referred me through the program process, and so now I'm here.
I mean, yeah, that's sick. So it's funny because I actually got into computer science because my friend was using my computer and downloaded VS Code. So me being me, I was just looking at what it was and I just started typing in it. I mean, kind of just started from there. But
Yeah,
crazy how it got into
curiosity is the perfect catalyst.
yeah. All right, so like talk about a moment in your life like that was pivotal and that was a pivotal decision to where you are today and that significantly impacted your trajectory.
Okay. Um, so what's a pivotal moment for me?
Yeah, that got you to where you are today.
Right. I want to say, yeah, another weird story. I had like a very small handful of computer science friends in high school, and I just remember one day seeing this guy who was previously an alumni. So when I was in high school, this guy had already graduated, wasn't even in school anymore. Um, and I saw him posting on YouTube about how he wants to go into like aerospace and engineering. I thought that was so cool. So I literally just commented on his video and said like, "Hey, dude, you're really inspirational, and I love this video. Super cool. Hope to talk more." Stuff like that. We ended up talking a bit more, and then I found out that he was part of the TNT program. So as I mentioned earlier, since he found out I was, just some little boy getting into computer science, he's like, "You know what? You should try out the program too." And that's when you refer me to the new technologists. And keep in mind, and for everyone else out there who thinks that like, oh, it's just a perfect handout, um, I didn't want to apply because I didn't feel ready at all. My resume was, can I use some bad words here?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You could use
Okay, my
whatever you
resume
want.
was, yeah, my first resume was dog shit. It was so bad. I didn't know how to interview very well. I didn't do lead code at all. So I wasn't ready at all. But he's like, you know what? Just do it. You have a year to learn because it was my first year of college. So just work on your resume, do some lead code, and then apply all for you. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And then by the grace of God, I somehow got in, and that eventually ended up leading to my turn offer into my second program, which is right now. So very funny story.
Who would have been on the villain arc if you didn't get accepted? That's all I have to say. I mean,
Oh,
the villain
absolutely.
arc.
Technically, I wasn't a villain for a while because I didn't get my return offer immediately after my first year. I got it after that, which meant that there was a gap year where I just didn't have anything. That was my villain arc because I was so mad I didn't get into anything, so I was just grinding it out.
I mean, I feel sometimes that's like what you need because at least for me, when I like have a letdown or don't like live up to my expectation, I really like bully myself in a way into like living up to a certain expectation that I want. But it's good. The villain arc is good.
Yeah, it's some good catalyst.
And like talking about computer science, like what got you like really interested in it? Like what was your best project that you've made so far?
So, got two answers to that. My first best project, which got me into Microsoft the first time, and I've talked about this a lot on LinkedIn, it was a triangle calculator or a trigonometry calculator. So when I was in high school, I was taking pre-calculus in like my junior or senior year, and everyone knows a stereotype or like when you're doing work, why do something manually in 10 minutes when you can automate it in 10 hours? Which is ironic because it takes so much longer, but I was lazy and I knew a little bit of C++. plus plus. So I was like, all right, I want to try coding my homework because we did like super our calculation took like a whole page, like just trigonometry, loft cosines, loft sines, and I was lazy. So I spent like 3 weeks building a project, building this script that would take in three numbers and output all the values, which means all the sides, angles, and area for any triangle. Um, and I'm not sure how negative this is or how much feedback I get for this, but I used that on my exam low key because this is during quarantine, so we were all remote. So during my exam, I literally whipped out this calculator, and there's this whole section that should have taken an hour to finish. It took me about 1 minute with this calculator.
Or is that get
So,
his high school degree doxed?
oh yeah, absolutely. My high school's probably cringing at this right now.
So like how has that influenced you since then? Like what like your passion for computer science, what drives you basically in just doing more with it? Because you came from really not really even knowing about it, not really liking it to just I mean, two-time software engineer at Microsoft, getting one time there is I would say rare.
Yeah, so I want to say maybe pre first Microsoft internship. Um, I was I got into the roots of CS like many other people do, where I touched the computer once, got kind of interested, touched it some more, did some coding, some finagling, and then I started doing really cool things. I'm like, wait a minute, this can do a lot. So I did a lot of self-learning, which is something else I hype up a lot on LinkedIn. Like over 90% of my current like career and skill set thus far is all self-learned. It's not through school, not through, well, some through extracurriculars. Um, and so it would just be like working on my homework, and then there's like certain functions or certain um capabilities that I would try exploiting a bit and like learn more and more. So I just liked learning about random code, namely in C++, plus plus, and then I just tried building calculators or programs or just random things. I want to say this story is especially more relevant to my hackathon journey so far, because that's something else that was a super pivotal journey from this year. So I started doing hackathons. I've done 6 of them so far. I've won 4 of them. I It was supposed to be 5, but we'll leave that one out.
I heard that story. I heard that story.
Yeah, it was such a sad day for all of us hackathoners. But that one was super fun. Like my whole hackathon journey this year has been super pivotal for me, because a hackathon at its very core is building a startup or some kind of working product prototype from nothing into a full working demo in about 1 or 2 days. That is insane. Like it takes so much work. But for some insomniacs and masochists like myself, I I just think that's so cool. Even now, I think it is so cool that you can go from having nothing, and then just by writing a couple pages of code, I want to say a couple lines because it definitely takes more than a couple lines, but just
Centering
by
a
writing
div.
a
Gotta
yeah,
center a div.
centering a div. Oh my God, dude. Just by centering a div. Yeah, just by writing a few pages of like React, doing some backend, you can create some pretty amazing things, like full working prototypes that realistically, if you kept working on, you could sell those for real money, make real profits, make real company movements out of it.
It's
So
pretty funny you
that's what
say
I
that.
think is,
So it's
yeah.
pretty funny you say that because that's actually what I'm doing right now. Somewhat because I've had the idea, but I made it at a hackathon. It was pretty bad because I was the only one doing it. I went in with another person. They ended up leaving. I've actually had pretty bad hackathon experiences, teammate wise, but I've had really good experiences just meeting new people. Like I've met people from Singapore. I mean, I've met people from all around the world. So
So you were mentioning you were in your first or hackathons, you've had a teammate walk out.
I mean, yeah. Also at another hackathon, I just had teammates that like alleged that they were going to come back. They kind of just left. Kind of awkward. I mean, that
I
was my
feel that.
first hackathon. So that goes to the question of how has college influenced your opportunities regarding software engineering? So I know you mentioned that a little bit before, but what the recent lessons learned that you've had from college?
So in terms of how college influenced me, despite how much I've actually shit on college sometimes, and like the fact that um I want to say that again, it was never the classes themselves, not even the CS classes themselves. If anything, it was just the extracurriculars. Um, I was very active in my ACM club at my college, Riverside City College. And for those of the audience who don't know what ACM is, it's Association for Computing Machinery. So it's a national organization. People just start chapters all across, in their schools. So like if you don't have an ACM at your club, you can go start one and they'll fund you. And so I was very active in my ACM club. They had like competitive programming practices, they had competitions, they did some project building. And there was this one contest I did like 3 times, which is called the ICPC, or Intercollegiate Programming Contest. It's basically like hackathons, but purely for like lead code style, like a lead code hackathon in a
Damn.
sense. Yeah. Now the people there who were like cracked, they were super sweaty. Um, I went my first year. I remember hearing about that. It was advertised at one of our meetings, and they're like, "Yeah, there's a super competitive programming contest. Come join if you want." And we're like, do we have a chance at winning if we got like one intro class down? And they said, probably not, but come join anyway. So me and my friend, we pulled up. We expected to get nothing done. And there were 10 problems. And each of these are, I want to say they're lead code hard, like pretty much all of them.
You
Um,
said leak code hard.
yeah, they're very hard
Damn.
problems. Bro, I'm talking like chess, like there were literally like chess bots, some other things. Just lots of stuff that you could probably build into real products. That's
Bro,
why it's so hard.
I've done like four easy ones and like I struggled.
Yeah, no, it's rough even in that dimension. So that shows just how hard
Yeah,
it is.
it's hard.
Um, yeah, and so we have 6 hours to solve 10 questions total. Of course, you don't actually have to solve 10 questions, but you have 6 hours. And so it was me and my friends, and we spent a whole 6 hours just working on one problem. We actually didn't care about solving anything else because we thought if we can get one problem, that's a win. And we spent the whole 6 hours. And eventually, I want to say by the fourth or fifth hour, we got all test cases correct. We finally submitted it and we got 1 point.
You won with
So
1 point.
we got 1 point. We didn't win with 1 point, but we got 1 point.
Oh my God, I thought you said you won with 1 point. I
Oh,
mean
no, 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 no,
that's
no,
valid.
no. I mean, that'd be pretty epic. That'd be awesome.
Bro,
Well, I think,
I remember the time I got two sum right. I was you don't get it, two sum. It went crazy. It was in Python too, so
my man, you're basically up there then.
I'm basically a Google engineer at this point, getting two sum right. Like they better throw that in the interview.
Honestly, bro, where's your badge? You should be wearing the merch right now.
I,
So
I,
yeah, you good. And so that was the ICPC and just competitive programming practice, and also like being around all those other cracked engineers. That is ultimately what supercharged my desire for engineering. Because initially, back in high school, it was just code, but I didn't know anyone else who coded back then. So being around the people and being around other activities that were like super intense with coding, that got me really involved with it. And so something else I've talked about on LinkedIn, right? And I'm referencing my LinkedIn a lot. Just low key.
you're good. You're good.
I'll, yeah, yeah. Well, it's because just coincidentally, a lot of these questions are probably gonna like I've already talked about this before. But I've also mentioned that like I want to say this year, maybe last year, I no, it's definitely this year. I was going through a bit of a rough time, and I decided like instead of just sulking at home and crying about it, I decided to go explore a bit. And so I went to a bunch of universities. I went to like UCLA, USC, UCI, all the major public ones in California. I went to their ACM clubs, and I just went to random meetings, random events, and I didn't know anyone there. I want to caveat that for the entire audience. At this point, I didn't know anyone there. I did that for a couple months, and at some point, I had made friends with pretty much every single ACM club in SoCal, so I could pick up I could call someone right now, and someone from UCLA would pick up. And I made friends at all of those campuses, and they became like one of my favorite network ever. Um, I was able to pretty much go to any of those campuses afterwards, and I just networked. We did projects, we talked, even traveled sometimes. Um, so going to ACMs, that also boosted my network strength and bandwidth.
Feel that because people undermine the power of network riz, but network riz is a thing. It's upcoming. I'm just telling you guys, like, there's like, but for serious, like, there's actually like a really powerful thing about networking, being able to connect with people and be reputable. So, for example, a lot of people shit on community college, at least where from I'm from. It's just like
Yeah.
it's terrible, but I think that's such a bad perception. I think it's really about the person who it is and how driven you are. Like, for example, you like most people wouldn't be doing that. Like, they just, I mean, haters gonna hate. Overall, haters gonna hate. But
Yeah, no, I feel that. And I mean I agree. I can see why people like stigmatize it all the time. Um, Strangely enough, like my parents also weren't super for me going to community college. Not because they thought like, it's bad, but because they thought, I could have gone to the UCs. My GPA was super low. Though. I had like a 3.1 coming out of college or high school. That's something that probably a lot of people don't know as well. I had a 3.1 coming out of high school. I did not have a strong extracurricular background, and community college just felt like the safe option for me. And I'll admit
well,
there were some points in the first and second year that like I thought, damn, I should be in those universities. But I want to say at this point, as much as I've achieved while being in CC, I'm glad I chose the community college option more than university.
I feel what you mean 100% because I'm not really the naturally smartest person, but in almost like a modest way, I'm very entrepreneurial spirited. Like I'm very when I'm motivated on something, I'm doing it. I'm very like different thinking. I got like 80s and 85s in high school. I mean, I wasn't a genius. I was taking literally all normal level classes with one AP my senior year.
Right.
I was not that guy, trust me. But it definitely like
Yeah, I get that.
going into college, like just finishing my first year, it definitely showed like you could be who you are in the world and not have to get good grades and validated. Because in high school, I really validated myself off grades.
Hmm.
And with the last
Yeah.
question, like, what is the most valuable skills to have as an engineer, a software engineer?
Oh, I feel like I can answer that almost instantly. A lot of people think that I would say 90% of people in the industry and students and interns and everyone like think that just coding and programming is the most important thing. And I mean, it is important for you to be able to build a project within the span of a couple of weeks' time. Because in an internship, you don't have like 4 years, you have what, 6 to 12 weeks?
At
So that
most, yeah.
matters. Right. Yeah, it matters a lot. But the second most important thing that I think way too many people are skipping out on for some reason is communication, social skills. Um, I'm not going to call anyone specific, but definitely like being in meetings or talking with people one on one sometimes, it's definitely clear that they just like, how do they say it? They like in games, the gaming is how you maxed out a certain level in your character, and it was definitely just programming. So I've definitely talked to both full timers and interns where sometimes it seems like they're just throwing jargon and like coding terms out that they probably understand, but I sure as hell don't understand. And anyone else who's just getting started will not understand. So learning how to take an advanced topic, especially with like very advanced topics like AI now being like all the rage, and learning how to break that down for someone who just, is someone who's new. Being able to talk to someone, that's literally it. It's an underrated skill because, when you say communication, it's like, okay, whatever, you can talk to someone. But like, no, people skip out on that a lot. So learning how to talk to people and communicate, that matters a whole lot more than people think.
No,
Because
no, I
what
feel you.
good,
Sorry.
oh, sorry, yeah, I was gonna say, what good is an idea if you can't communicate?
So actually, that's a great point because I actually interviewed two other higher level people in Microsoft, technology strategists. So they basically integrate between computer science people, like really heavy coding people, and the people who are
Mhm.
implementing the business in action. So basically, like what they say, that's actually the most important skill to break down high level topics into more simple level topics for the business people actually carrying out the
Yes.
actions. So like, and they that's how I feel I am because I'm not going to be the guy sitting there coding C, C++, all these languages. Like I'm going to be sitting there typing HTML, struggling with JavaScript. And I mean, I'm more of the creative thinker. And I feel like a lot of people don't think that that skill's valuable, but it's definitely one of the most valuable
Right.
skills from what the people I've heard from. I mean, but
Yeah, it absolutely is. And again, for a couple of reasons, like the ones that you mentioned. Um, and I guess in my case, the reason why I favor it so much is because if you're on a team, and obviously, like if you're trying to get other people to build with you, and you have to communicate to your teammates for a project that you can't do by yourself, it matters that you can talk to these people in their languages, metaphorically speaking, like their languages, their speaking styles, and whatnot. Because it's just so much harder to get stuff done if you don't know how to explain to like on a higher level, sort of. So you guys don't just work on lead code, okay? Lead code is very important, but learn how to talk to people as well.
yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
point. Oh no, the lights.
God damn it. Okay. Yeah, this is working motion sensor. Apparently my hands aren't enough to recognize, but all
And
right.
like also a great example is so with my startup, I have lead front end engineer. I'm gonna make it sound better than it is. I have someone who's doing front end, someone who's doing back
Yeah.
end, someone who's helping with product design, and I'm doing, let's say, train conducting for better words. I'm helping with
Mhm.
everything. So you definitely have to understand and dabble in a little bit of everything to be able to conduct the train. Because you can't just like they're gonna be throwing words at you, and sometimes I'm entering it in ChatGPT. I'm like, wait, hold up. I'm gonna figure out what this is. I'm gonna learn about it, and then I'll get back to you. But it's definitely able to so it's definitely easier to break down higher level topics and breaking them simple. But, I mean, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And like kind of a strat that I've been using, let's say if there's a meeting that I just cannot understand, we do have actually this breaking NDA. I hope not. I use a certain tool that just automatically summarizes our meetings and transcripts. So I've done that so many times and it helps a lot.
Oh, I think they have that on
So,
Zoom too.
oh, okay. Well, there we go. Yeah, it's a super go-to tool. I love it. But that is why communication is all the rage. If you're good at communication, I just automatically love you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, is that? I mean, yeah. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights and expertise with us. That wraps up episode 28, 15-minute coffee podcast with Brandon Salazar. We've enjoyed getting insights from our guests and exploring the world of business. Plus, don't forget to check out the podcast on our social media at the 15-minute coffee podcast on YouTube and Instagram for upcoming episodes. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning. Also, Rian, if you want to shout out your LinkedIn, I know you want that LinkedIn plug.
Absolutely. Can't go without the LinkedIn. So yeah, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'm posting about software engineering and life stuff, like as I mentioned, between communication and whatnot. So if you're looking for anything with software engineering, not just the coding, but also collaboration and networking, go into hackathons. Go follow that. And if you
Memes.
want to see, right, and the muse, that too. And if you want to follow the more personal side of me, where I have a little bit of fun every day, I go traveling and make vlogs, follow me on Instagram. It's the same tag, same handle. So should be doing fine. But
All right,
that's about it. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Brandon.
no problem.